Hey there, it's Dave. It's been a minute since I posted to YouTube, and I want to catch you all up. I have been struggling on how to exactly tell this amazing story I have to tell um, because there's so much of it, it's all intertwined, and it's hard to tell one part without the other. And I'm just unsure as how to get it going. I've watched so many videos on how to do this, and most of them aren't helpful, at least not to my situation. I would like to just jump in and start with a conversation I had recently with a friend. And this conversation, we were just talking about normal things, but many times during our talks, uh, the subject comes around of concerning death and dying. And he asked me, Dave, why are we always talking about death and dying? And well, we're older now, and a lot of our friends and family members are dead and or dying, and it comes up often, more often than when we're young. However, I wanted to clarify exactly my feelings on things, so we'll help explain other things as the story progresses. Uh, so it kind of started with my first funeral. I was 5 years old, and Mom took me to our sweet Auntie Dodo had passed away, and I got to go to the funeral home and see Auntie Dodo in the casket, and at five, just wondering exactly what's going on. I see all these people very upset, and and then when we get back to the house, the Italian family, there's a huge um, post-service party going on. A lot of food, a lot of storytelling, a lot of family, and to a 5-year-old, it just seemed like a good time. Um, Fast forward a couple years, my parents got divorced, and I stayed with mom for a while. And mom was the caretaker of our family. She would go around to the nursing homes, anybody that was old or sickly, and bring them things and tend to them a little bit, and bring me along for the ride. And a little foreshadowing there because that comes into play a little later on in my life. But um, as I grew up, I was bounced back and forth between mom and dad a few times, and by the time I was 15, I was visiting my mom, and she had a great friend at the time named Bill. Um, they were mostly friends, but um, Bill was an amazing dude. I gotta say, like a man's man, a guy I admired quite a bit because he just seemed like fun, like a fun, great time. And he treated mom like a little queen. They traveled the country a couple times in a van. Bill was what's the word? He was just larger than life. He I remember ate filet mignon, drank Scotch whiskey, and smoked big fat cigars. At 15, that was a bit much to admire. However, he had the latest and greatest stereo equipment in their little apartments they lived in. He was the apartment manager, um, and I remember the first CD he ever got. He threw it at me like it was a frisbee and said, "This is the future here." Sometime around 75, 76, and I always admired and maybe almost idolized Bill. My dad was a little bit busy, absent, we'll say, working just to try to take care of his things. But Bill to me was amazing. So, yeah, I put Bill up on a little pedestal and said, this is maybe who I'd want to be like. And somewhere along there, around 1975, I was 15. Bill had gone, he was 49 years old at the time, and he had gone into his doc for a regular checkup. And his doc said, "Hey, Bill, if you don't quit drinking that whiskey and smoking them cigars and eating that fatty food, you're going to be dead in 5 years." And man, did that scare Bill. And to the point where he changed his life. He pretty much cold turkeyed everything. And I didn't visit there often, but whenever I did, mom and I would have a nice meal, and I would watch Bill literally having a wedge of lettuce with a little dressing for dinner. And it seemed to me that he was putting off the things he enjoyed in life so that he could live longer and have more fun down the road. And what ended up happening at 51 years old, a couple years later, he was on a camping trip in Rhode Island, and him and a bunch of buddies, and he woke up in the middle of the night and grabbed his chest and keeled over dead with a heart attack. Now here's 17-year-old Dave going, "Oh my gosh, here's a guy I just thought was the manliest man, tough as nails. I just couldn't imagine." But the life lesson I took from it was I watched Bill struggle for 2 years, giving up things he loved for a promise of more time down the road. And I determined then and there that I would never do that. I would I would live my life as hard and fast as I could, and probably die at 51. And that was at 17. That was my decision. I heard the phrase somewhere: I was going to live fast, die young, and leave a good-looking corpse. So I dropped out of high school with 4 months to go, got a GED, joined the Air Force, went off to basic training and then tech school in Denver, and then came back to Connecticut to marry my high school sweetheart and get shipped off to England. And I was still 17 years old, sitting in a pub in Battingham, England, when a chief master sergeant walked in and bought me my first beer there, and I was living fast. Um, we ended up having a couple of boys, and good and bad times until that marriage didn't quite work out. Um, I had spent 10 years in the Air Force, and when I got out, I got into construction with my dad and did a lot of trades, a whole lot. Anything that paid the bills and kept me going is what I did. And I love to cook. Before I joined the Air Force, I almost wanted to become a chef. So I just love to cook. I I did do a lot of jobs when I would get hurt. I got hurt and broke a toe or something. I couldn't work construction for a minute, so I ended up getting a job as a non-emergency transport driver for people going to their doctor appointments with Medicare and Medicaid. Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in nursing homes and around sickly elderly people as they were getting close to their end of time. And roll around, fast forward to when I turned 49. I had never quit drinking or smoking or eating fatty foods. I had never given up anything as Bill had, and I was happy. It was probably one of the best times of my life. I had had um, couple of rough marriages, and then a very good marriage, my third one, and I was just living large. And that parts of my life that I'm most amazed with as a poor boy from Connecticut was at 22, I learned to scuba dive in the Sea of Cortez, living in Tucson. Became a diver, became my passion. And oh my gosh, I love diving. Anything about it. I wanted to go all the time, and got a side job at a scuba shop, and I loved saltwater aquariums. So I got a job at a pet center and worked the fish department so I could get the saltwater fish on discount. Anything I wanted to do, I pretty much get a job in it so I can learn how and get my equipment at cost plus 10. And I was just enjoying my life so much, and had some rough times. Had save it for a later video, but I had a gambling addiction I couldn't get rid of until I was 44. At 44, I was in such a bad spot. I was ready to check off this place early, and most it had to do with gambling, and it was a couple of failed marriages and just life struggles. And God, I couldn't quit that dang addiction, but I still had all the positive things in the life. Like I could work my way out of just about anything. And I had a lot of help from a lot of friends and family over the years. I'll never forget that. But at 44, uh, I believe I had what's called a NDE, a near death experience. Probably from the stress that I had put myself under, the drama that was my life. And whether it was actual that I died from a heart attack or whatever, and experienced what I believe I experienced and then came back, I can't put a finger on exactly the day or when or what happened. However, from that day forward, my life has changed. It has gone on a trajectory much like the stock market. It just, there's little humps and little downturns, but for the most part, it's been an uphill experience for the last 21 years. Um, okay, get back to Bill. At 49, I got the opportunity to go to Hawaii. My mom was having her 70th birthday in Connecticut. She wanted to go to Hawaii because my oldest son was stationed there. He was in the Army. And she decided that's where she wanted to celebrate her 70th birthday. And would my lady at the time, Miss Lou, come along and we'll all meet Mr. George and mom, and Lou and I would meet Dave uh, and Nina in Hawaii. And I very much couldn't wait. I was living in Georgia at the time, and I never in my life dreamt I would go to Hawaii. That's like some fantasy. Turns out, as soon as I knew I was going, I was on the internet Googling diving with the manta rays. That has been a bucket list item since I was 22. And it was about 25 years had passed since I first saw a poster called Manta Fantasy, where a scuba diver was riding the back of a manta ray holding on to two remoras. And I was like, I want to do that someday. And that was my bucket list. So I before I even left Georgia, I booked the trip to dive with the manta rays in Hawaii. It's a night dive. And I couldn't wait. Yes, I wanted to go celebrate mom's birthday and see my son and, do the tourist thing. But I was finally going to get to dive with the manta rays. And don't forget, I'm getting back to Bill, because sometimes my stories, they take a couple turns, but they usually end up where I want them to go if you stick around long enough. So we go to Hawaii and we do the tourist stuff, and the night of my dive is coming up, and I'm so excited. And right up until a storm rolls in and it cancels the trip, and I can't rebook it while I'm still in Hawaii, and I am mad. I am like, waited 25 years to do this dive and it's not going to happen. And I'm angry, typing on Google search extreme sports vacations, and it comes up trike flying on the North Shore. And I had no idea. Now, we'll get back to the Paradise Air story another time, but I still have to bring it back to Mr. Bill. And I'm 49 years old. I'm in Hawaii. I take an intro flight that's going to change my life. Going to change the next 15 years of my life. And as soon as I came off of this little aircraft called a trike, I told Miss Lou I was going to do this for a living. And she said, sure you are. No money, no education, no aviation background, but you're going to fly trikes for a living. And I said, yes, that's where I always wanted to be, to see the sky and the earth from 1,000 feet or wherever we were flying. I just wanted to do this so bad. And I just poured my heart and soul into it. Went back to Georgia, sold my tools and my truck, and did everything I could to get into this triking thing, which eventually became Amphibian Air, which brought you here, most likely, to my Amphibian Air YouTube channel. Now, I still, as a happy camper, just going along with life, forgetting I'm 49, now I'm 50. And I was one of the fastest people that went from an intro flight to a sport pilot to a sport pilot flight instructor, and had his first customer in roughly 18 months. And it was 2011. I had just survived the housing crash. I lost a home that I had just built, and beautiful, beautiful home. And the government kind of pulled the rug out from under me at that point, and I lost a lot of sweat equity. But again, I'm living the dream of learning to fly, and I'm going to take people for introductory flights. And the people at Paradise Air were my mentors and helped me a lot along the way on how to start this business and run this business. And it was quite the blessing that I had first flown with them, because I copied everything about their company to the point where I became a 5-star company. Flew over 2,700 people, lots of stuff to tell down another video. Let's get back to Bill. Still coming. Okay, 51 years old. I'm driving down to my manufacturer in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and I see my odometer flips over on the van I'm driving at the time. I'm pulling my aircraft, needed some sort of work on it, and it dawns on me it's August 18th. It's my birthday, and I'm 52 years old, and I've lived longer than Bill Miller. And not only that, I'm in pretty good shape. I am in, for somebody that never gave up what he enjoyed in life, I think I'm in great shape. And I'm just starting a brand new business. And oh my God, I just feel blessed. Now, I wasn't heavy drinking, having a occasional cocktail. Now, smoking, Lou and I smoked quite a bit. I couldn't quit cigarettes no matter how many times I tried. However, there's a video coming for that, because eventually I did. And there's a super secret way that I wish the AMA would make available to everybody, but there's no money in it, so I doubt they will. But another video. I'm gobsmacked that I lived longer than Bill Miller. Holy cow! Well, what do I do now? I expected to be dead at 51, so I lived fast. I didn't die young, and the court, still the good-looking part is, better now. Maybe, I don't know. I like this gray. Anyhow, I hadn't planned for the future, no retirement other than my Social Security. So, it was not a great life plan financially. Now, looking back at the things I've done, all the places I dove, from the Keys to the Sea of Japan, Hawaii, trips I've taken where I've gotten to climb the Mayan ruins in Belize, or traveled the country, all the things I've gotten to do for that poor boy from Connecticut is absolutely crazy. This is why I'm telling this story, because I believe all of you watching this should be able to do the same. I have no particular, unlike my friend Liam, I have no particular set of skills. I have a lot of skills, and I'm really pretty good at a lot of things, but it's all over the place. And all it is I even had a YouTube PBS. I'm sorry, PBS, not YouTube. PBS special called Startup Amphibian Air. If you hadn't seen that, it's on a link in my YouTube channel. I suggest watching it, because it's a company called Startup, and they would travel the country finding people that had found their passion and turned it into a business, and they did a story about it. And they did a phenomenal story about me years ago that plays on a loop on PBS, that I still get phone calls from time to time looking for that guy on the video. And that guy's me. So it's been absolutely incredible to do the things I've done. You gotten a little bit of the backstory, you hit a little bit of the sad parts, the addictions, the failed marriages, the almost checking off, the near-death experience, the belief that I lived every day to the fullest, and I tried the best I could at everything I did, and it's really paid off, because uh, my life is nothing but a blessing. And to be 65 and to look back at my life, I'm like, wow, I have done so many things that I would have never dreamt of um, as a child, or an adolescent, as I was growing up. I thought, you needed money, or you needed college, or you needed some sort of mentor. You needed something in order to have a good life. And bottom line is, not so much, because I have had a very, very good life. And there's more to that in the next video. I hope you'll come back and hear some of it. And if you have questions in the comments, I'll try to answer them on the next video. I appreciate you very much. And blue skies. I'll tell you about the It's Day One thing next time too. Have a great day, y'all.